Hello and welcome back to the Wisdom of Odin. I have to be a little bit quiet in this video and it's going to be a quick one, but I think there's some really important lessons I need to share with you in this video. So I'm at the National Museum of Scotland here in Edinburgh, looking through their early peoples exhibit, and they have an entire room for the old gods and the old ways. So very soon here, I'll be releasing a full video on Celtic paganism and introduction, covering a lot of the sites that I visited while here in Scotland, traveling across the Highlands. But while waiting for my flight, I decided to check in the museum here because of course, and the reason I think you should continue watching this video is because in this museum is some of the only and rarest depictions of Pictish artwork, a religion and a culture we know very little about because all that we have is artifacts that exist from that time. So to see all of this is truly amazing. But that's not actually what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about historical offerings, at least from what we can tell from the Scottish people, the Scottish pagans. So I hope you stick around for the full video because if you're a pagan, I think you're going to be really interested to learn what historically people did to give offerings. And if you're a historical person, you like history, I think these are just really cool things. If you're never able to make it to Edinburgh, I think it's really good to actually show you these objects. So right here in this first display, this is the one that most people need to know about. So these vessels were all found in sacred locations that were used to give offerings to the gods. And so obviously, again, we're talking Pictish, we're talking early Scottish people, but these vessels held at one point food and beverages for the gods themselves. And I think this is really important because of the over-sensationalization of human sacrifices and animal sacrifices. I think are just way too overplayed and way too talked about historically, when in reality, the majority of people more than likely gave offerings and things like this. So I think this is very important for new practitioners to realize is that offerings can just be liquid. Now, something specific to the Pictish, the Celtic, the Scottish that we see a lot is cauldrons. And actually down here, you're going to see that even more. So this was a double offering in two different cauldrons buried together. All of this iron was in one cauldron, covered by another cauldron in a bog. So really weird, and bogs in general are a reoccurring theme, leaving things out in nature. Now that is a little bit more complicated because in this modern era, we understand leaving things in bogs, not necessarily the best thing. So if you're gonna give an offering, I really recommend leaving something that is biodegradable, such as this right here, that can be degraded naturally in nature. Maybe leave out the iron bowl though. So this we're walking by right now is one of the really cool things, but I'm gonna wait till the end to tell you about that one. Over here, not necessarily offerings, but these are magical objects, things that people left behind in burial mounds that they believe to have magical properties, or at least historians, because oftentimes they have sacred symbols and writing on them. Right here, you actually have some eagle talons with runes carved in them, found in the islands of northern Scotland, so that is really cool. But according to historians, most of these objects were superstitious things that were meant to increase your luck or give you better, just life in general. The one right here is one of my favorite because it shows like a pretty early depiction of almost like a triskelion, or like what a lot of people know is like the horns of Thor, or the horn symbol that goes around as well. So that's really cool to see. Now we're moving up a notch. So these are things that are not necessarily easy to do by one person and not something you're necessarily going to do in your personal life or personal practice, but still they're really cool. So these are sacred stones, I'm going to guess from standing circles or burial mounds because of these cut marks on here dotted throughout, or I call them dimples. We actually saw these at burial mounds across the Highlands while on tour. Again, full videos coming with the Celtic paganism video. But the edges were worn down, but you could still see those cut marks. I don't know what they mean. I can't see no one seems to know what they mean. Maybe they're just decorative, but still really cool. So lessons for, the modern era, decorating stones, building things for the gods. I think that is one of the best ways to connect. You might not be able to do the big stones, but you can do something. A great example of that is in here. All of these are carvings, craftsmanship that were given in a sacrificial ceremonial way. So there's a lot of different options you can do outside of just animal sacrifices, because that is just not something that we necessarily need to do in this modern era, because most people are not farmers. If you're a farmer, it's more understandable. Another great example right here. So these coins were found buried under a building. So I think coins, I've given them before. I mean, technically they degrade over time. I don't do it all the time, but I do think that coins are a historical offering that we know about. So of course, there is animal offerings, animal sacrifices. That was a thing. But as I've said, and as I've said many, many times, this is not something we necessarily aim for in the modern era. There are so many different examples of offerings outside of this, but it is a historical offering, and I know some people who own their own livestock still choose to do so. With that as well, here is the last display as far as offerings go, at least these types of offerings. So weapons and other ceremonial objects, including some that I saw in an other exhibit, which are these bronze ceremonial shields that were buried in grave mounds, seem to have only religious connotations because those bronze shields would be destroyed instantly because they're so thin, so they only had a ceremonial purpose. We just don't know what it was. And so in here you have an example of other weapons given in a ceremonial way. In fact, if I remember these actually are from a well that the Romans built. So these may be Romans offerings or Celtic offerings. It's still really cool to see that. I'll go here to the last spot, but this place is just really cool. I probably will make a video in the future talking about sacred symbols in Scotland, because I just really want to know more, like crescent figure on the back of that one. There's a crescent-like figure here, crescent figure here, crescent figure up there, crescent figure on here, crescent figure right here, and even in the Christian monuments, that crescent figure as well. But I can't seem to find anything. The one right there. The best thing I can think of, it represents a moon and then a broken arrow. If you know more, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's still used fairly prominently within Scotland today. Okay, like I said, short video, but this is the best thing in here. Like, it might not seem like much, but this is a goddess figure. This comes from a bog from around 1000 BC, 3,000 years ago. So not many of these don't exist anymore. I've only seen a couple of them in my tours across Europe. So we obviously don't know the name of this goddess. We know nothing about it, but we do know it's a goddess. We do know that it was offered to a bog, wrapped in something that preserved it long enough for us to see it. Most times, wooden things like this, 3,000 years old, do not survive. As you can see, most things that survive are metal or made of stone. And so to have a wooden offering from 3,000 years ago representing a goddess is absolutely incredible. You know, I've really been thinking on this trip just how truly amazing history is. And I feel like a lot of people coming into the faith today don't really respect or know about the history because it's really hard. I've never seen pictures of these before. Most of these images contained in here are not things that I've gotten commonly when doing research into paganism, Norse paganism, Celtic paganism. It doesn't matter. They don't come out very often. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I think these videos are very important, because I understand many of the people that watch these videos may not be able to ever see these in person. But let me tell you, they are wonderful. They are magical. There are so many mysteries and secrets that I just want to come back and discover myself. But of course, I will be taking you along with me if I do get to do that. So make sure you're liked and subscribed and all that good stuff, so you can learn more about the ancient pagan history of the past, because that is what I care about. I want to dig through the bullcrap and find what religious things matter to us as modern day pagans, what lessons we can learn from what they did in the past, and maybe unlock things within our personal practice. But also, this stuff is just cool. So thank you so much for joining me for this short video in this quiet museum space. But my gosh, this has been amazing. I mean, seriously, images of animals on the other side. Here you have it again. The crescent shapes, circles. I don't know what these mean. It's mystery. It's amazing. And seriously, I have more videos coming about this. I have so much footage of stone circles, druid temples. I just don't know what to do with it. So make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next video. And I hope you like this video. Let me know down below, all that stuff. Thank you, and until the hall. Skull.